Hello everyone, I'm Jim Sinley for SpeedEndurance.com and welcome to Speed Endurance TV. Today I'll be answering an email from Ryan from Temple Christian College, and he asked me 8 questions. So let's start with question number 1. Can you describe the importance of each of the following factors towards a sprinter's consistent performance? Sprint technique, training, nutrition, and sports psychology. Now Ryan, there's actually a 5th one missing, and that is recovery and regeneration. So let's get to each one of these points. For training, I believe in a standard training block. I use what I call the annual plan. You want to look at your most important meet and work backwards. Maybe it's 2 meets because there's an indoor season and an outdoor season. So in that case, in a 10 or 11 month period, you break down your season into 2 half seasons. And then from there, you want to take each little half season and break them down into, I use 4-week blocks. That's 3 weeks hard and 1 week easier. And then within that given week, I like to do alternating days, hard days and easy days. For masters athletes, I like 2 days off or easy after 1 hard day. But for most athletes, you can do alternate, easy, hard, easy, hard, easy, hard. And on the 7th day, you do complete rest. Now, you can look this up in my blog. There's articles on annual planning, mesocycle, microcycle, macrocycles, and you really have to watch out for your work volume. It all comes down to work and intensity. Or volume and intensity. So the more work, the more intensity there is in a workout, the more time you need to recover, and vice versa. On an easier day, you have an easier workout to recover from the harder workouts. So that's the training block that you need to know to be consistent. Now, technique, there's really one secret rule in sprinting, and that's specific application of force on the ground during ground contact. There's nothing you can do in the air to make you faster. It all comes down to hitting the ground hard and quick and moving forward. It's about covering speed from A to B, or in this case from the starting line to 100 meters or 400 meters for that matter. So there's nothing you can do when you're in the air that affects ground contact, but there actually is, because there are really 2 things that I learned from Dan Paff recently that he watches out for, and one, it's the proper posture for that given step, and 2, the proper use of levers, and that means arms and legs and hips and any joints in your body, because there's nothing you can do when you're in the air, but you can make sure that you're in the right position to strike that ground at the fullest maximum force given. So that's technique. 3, I'll jump in and talk about recovery and regeneration. Now, let's say your practice is at 5 to 7 p.m. at night. Well, in effect, your training really begins at 7:01 p.m. The minute you stop training at the track, at the weight room, is when your body needs to start recovering for the next workout. So everything you do after that workout should be geared towards recovering. And that means anywhere from sleep hygiene to eating right foods, hydration, stretching, micro stretching, hot tubs, cold tubs, ice packs, hot cold showers, cryotherapy, massage, foam rolling. Anything you do, you have to really gear your body towards recovering for that next workout. And why? Because training produces trauma. There are micro tears, there's damage done to your body when you train, and it's a matter of recovering that before the next workout. Now, whether that is 24 hours or 48 hours, or in my case, as a masters athlete, it's 72 hours. So I like training hard 1 day, then taking 2 days, either easy or rest, and then come back on day 4 with a hard training session. So that's the recovery side. Number 4 on that list is nutrition, and that is, I really believe you need to eat wholesome, natural foods. Now, my theory keeps changing over the years, over the decades, but if you can, try to eat as much wholesome, natural foods, preferably without a label, as much as possible. If you have to supplement, that's fine. Then you do choose supplements, whether it's a post-workout shake, whether it's a protein shake. But I think you should really try for food, real food, whether it's whole milk or sushi after a workout or anything with fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Don't go overboard in the supplements unless you're sponsored by a supplement company. And then the last thing is sports psychology. It's the mentality. It's that mental toughness. Now, this can't be trained. You can train hard all you want, but when it comes to a race situation, you just can't train that. You cannot train the nerves. That's why you have to race. You have to race often. Not too often, but you really need to get used to practicing that race scenario. And just be careful that every situation is different. If you're used to an hour warm-up before you start a race, well, maybe at the Olympics you need to add another 20 minutes because that bus ride from the warm-up track to the control zone, there's a factor of 20 minutes to contend with. So you really have to just get used to racing, get used to getting nervous, and just get used to just wanting to win when you line up to the track. You have to build that confidence, and there's no other way to do it than from racing. So that probably ends question 1. So let's go to question 2. Before each factor mentioned, you mentioned the 4, but there's 5. Which order do you rate the most important and least important towards consistent performance? Well, I think the order that I read them in is probably I like to go with. So that's training and technique are 1 and 2. You have to train, you have to make sure you're training properly and making sure you have enough volume just to be effective. You don't want to go too much in training, but then you don't want to do too little either. You want just the right amount. And I'd rather take an undertrained athlete than an overtrained athlete because of supercompensation. But in general, I think training is the most important, because if you're used to training at a certain time, you're used to training 5 days a week or 6 days a week, well, that builds a consistent pattern. If it's 4 o'clock every day, well, it's 4 o'clock, you train, and nothing can replace that. We're all creatures of habit. We all like to do structured things, at least most of us does. So I think training with technique is probably 1 and 2. Number 3, I think recovery is the most important. And in fact, some people think recovery is part of training, but you do have to recover. If you do too much training, then you get hurt, and then you're injured, and then you watch the Olympics from home. If you have bad technique, that can lead to injuries as well. If you're not recovering enough, well, that leads to injuries as well. So that's number 3. And number 4, I would think nutrition. I think we all have to eat, but they've proven, like Usain Bolt, Ryan Lochte were seen eating McDonald's at the Beijing Olympics. It's not going to kill them. It didn't kill them, but they could have ate better, but they're used to eating McDonald's. They've eaten the McDonald's in America. So because they were used to eating McDonald's, then it was actually maybe an advantage. It was comfort food for them, home cooking food. So nutrition is probably 4. And then number 5, I think psychology, that number 5, the last one, because unless you get to the Olympics, you're not gonna worry about it. You have to get to the games. You have to make the team. You have to make the finals, and then we can start worrying about sports psychology. But until then, you need the other 4 elements in place before you start talking about sports psychology and the control room, mental games with Maurice Green and his tiger attitude, psyching people out. That's for a very few percentage of people, but I would just focus on the first 3 or 4 if possible. Question number 3. Can you explain why you rated those in order? Why is the 5 factors more important than the other? Well, I think it's all about just, the 40 years of coaching as an athlete, as a coach, that I've seen work, what doesn't work, right? KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. It also stands for Key Performance Inhibitor. So I've seen what works, what doesn't work. Okay, granted, there are some gifted people like Usain Bolt who doesn't have to show up, doesn't have to train, just shows up and he runs. Great, that's perfect for him. But for most of us, we have to train, we have to recover, we have to do the work, we have to have a coach, we have to have someone watch us run, fix our technique, and that's just from the general public. But yeah, there are some people who are gifted who just have to worry about mental sports psychology, but then everyone has to train, you have to work, and there's just no shortcuts in that, and that's just from my experience. Number 4, what would you recommend for an athlete looking for a consistent performance in relation to these factors? I think I'm looking for an athlete who's teachable. That's number 1 rule. Someone who can take criticism constructively, and that's the number 1 rule. They have to just be a student. 2, they have to just believe in my program. From day 1, I outline a 1-year or 4-year program, and I say, okay, here's the map. Here's how we're going to get there. You're either in or you're out. If you question my ability, if you question the program, then I don't want you on my team. I don't want you showing up at practice. You have to believe in the program, believe in me, and most important, believe in yourself. So that's really the top 2 reasons that I'm looking for to get consistent. But number 3 for that is that the athlete has to want it. The athlete has to have that desire. It has to be innate. They have to want to win. They want to be the best. They want to be the best they can be. Now, not everyone's going to be a sub-10 sprinter. Not everyone's going to run sub-44 or sub-45 for the 400. But that's fine, as long as they improve year in, year on, and they have fun, and they do the best they can do, given all the conditions, from the weather, from financial hardships, to personal problems, to the track they run in, to the competition they have. If you do your best on a given day after using my program for 1, 2, 3 years, then there's really nothing more I can ask for, really. Number 5, with the importance for each factor mentioned, when looking from prepping consistent to developing performance. Not sure about the question, but I think what you're asking is there a difference between developing a world-class athlete and preparing a world-class athlete? And yeah, there is a difference. For example, take weight training. Now, I never use the same weight program 2 years in a row. I follow Charlie Francis' theory that everyone starts differently. Everyone's strength level is different. I'm not any Ben Johnson, but I know when I first started weight training for track and field, I was using the machines. I wasn't even using free weights. And it wasn't until a year or 2 later I had some general strength, and then I started doing free weights. But these are only the static free weights like bench press and squats. And it wasn't until another 2 years later I started doing explosive weights, Olympic lifting, like the hang cleans, not to snatch. I didn't like snatches, but I did, power clean, explosiveness. So the answer to question 5, you have to look for changes to the program. You have to look at KPIs. You have to look what works and what didn't work. And that's the problem, because in a given day, there are like 100 factors in training. And, from the supplements I take, to the training I do, to the shoes I wear. And if I start running awesome times, well, we don't know exactly what it was, right? We don't know if it was the morning cornflakes, but if I would have changed the oatmeal or organic oatmeal, I might have run, like 49 instead of 51 seconds for 400 meters. Maybe if I didn't do speed work until the last minute, maybe that's better. Maybe I did too much speed work. So the question is, you really have to look at all the factors of your training and break down what works and what doesn't work. And that's the difference between, I guess, developing and prepping, for performance. Really, you have to really do trial and error. And there's really no perfect formula. Every body is different. Everyone reacts different to different training stimulus or stimuli. And some things work, some things don't work, and that's just the way it is. Question 6. What would change in relation to the factors mentioned when looking for improvement rather than just consistency? Now, that's a good question. I like this question because it's like a piano teacher. If you don't practice the piano in between lessons, then you're making that job for that teacher really easy. Why? Because he's just giving you the same lesson week in, week out. So to be consistent and always say run 11 flat every year and you're out, well, that's easy. I just give you the same program. But if you want to go from 11 flat to 1080 to 1060 to 1030 and make the Olympic A or B standard, well, that's a big difference. So you have to always change your program. You cannot be complacent. You have to always look at what's working, what's not working, what can we do here, take off here. And at the end, you only have a certain finite amount of energy, really. There's only so much you can do in a given day or a given workout, and then how much you can recover. If you go too much, you'll blow the gasket and you'll be injured, and then you'll be spending anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks on the sideline, and that's not good. So you have to just find little things that you can improve on to improve, really. Otherwise, you might as well just do the same workout and be happy running 11 flat all your life. We're not like that. Unless you're looking at recreational, then you might as well do the 5K park run or do long distance running and just go for a jog in the park. But we're not here for that. We're here to improve. One day make the national team, but really that's it. It's all about KPIs and trying to really break down what works and what doesn't work. Question 7. Can you describe the habits or routines that you and what you would recommend a fellow sprinter in relation to these factors? Well, habits and routines is all about being consistent. It's all about showing up at practice on time. If it's 5 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock, not 5:01, not 5:02. Maybe it's 4:45, maybe it's 4:30, I don't care. But 5 o'clock means we start at 5 o'clock. And you have to leave all your problems at home. I don't want your problems of your finances, your girlfriends, your school. When you get to the track at 5 o'clock, ready to work out, I want 100% of your attention. At 7 o'clock when we're done, okay, go back and talk about your girlfriend, your finances at 7:01 p.m. But for those 2 hours that I have you, I really want you to have full attention. And that's really the number one thing. It's about habits and routines. But the next thing to improve is about having role models, having peers. So if you're an average sprinter, you want to be a great sprinter, well, hopefully you have teammates that are faster than you, and then you can run off of them. Now, some coaches want to divide their elite groups with their average groups to the development group, and that's fine too in a certain way, but I think you really have to be pushed. I really feel you have to be pushed out of your comfort zone sometimes to really improve, and that's just not in sports, but that's in life. If you get too complacent, you just don't grow. So if you have a chance to train with Usain Bolt, great, that's fantastic. If you have a chance to train with someone who's faster than you, that's great as well. Now, in my case, I can give you an example. When I was training at McGill, I was a 400-meter runner, and I had a teammate named Lenroy Henry, and he was a 200-meter runner. And we would help each other because I was stronger on some workouts that were, say, 300 meters. So if we did 3 times 300, I'd always be a bit ahead of him, but he would help because he would gauge off me. But then on workouts that were 150 meters, he'd be always ahead of me, and I would gauge off him. So by working together, that was a great team model. And in fact, in the 2 years that we did train together, I think we both ran our best times that year. I know I did. I think Lenroy did as well. But so you do need teammates. You need to have habits. You need to be. I don't need to get into all your about being dedicated and committed. I mean, I don't need that rah-rah talk to get you motivated. But you do need. There are some things that help. And yes, so to answer number 7 in one word, it's a support system. You just need a good support system with good people, good coaches, good work ethics, and go from there. The last question, number 8. I know this is long. Thanks for staying here. Can you suggest a way where I can apply all the factors for the goal of a consistent performance as well as improvement of sprinting? Well, again, I think it goes back to having a support system. You have to find a good club, a good coach that you can join. Really, there's people who train alone, I commend them. It works for them, it's fine, but I like to have a coach. I like to have a program to follow. I like a coach who can actually watch me and use his eyes or her eyes and see technique. The coaches have ears too, so they can listen to me sometimes. So when I'm landing too heavy on the track, they know. And you just need a good support system, good people to be with. There's some days where you're not feeling great and your teammates will pull you through. And there are other days it works the other way around, where you're a Superman, you have sluggish teammates, and they'll just key off you. And it's just a camaraderie about people, right? That's why I believe in a good track team, having good leadership, and just really there's no other magic formula to success, but just to surround yourself with the best and smartest people you can find. And in fact, if you are the smartest guy in the track team, you're in the wrong room. You should be the dumbest person in the track team, and then learning from these coaches and applying their wisdom, their experience, their eyes in learning. Now, there is one thing about coaches that you should watch out for, is that it's a two-way street. You listen to him or her, but they have to ask you how you feel. And that's the number one question that the coach should be asking you every morning after a track practice or the next practice. They ask you, how do you feel? And if you feel sluggish, if your hamstrings are tight, if something's not right, you really have to tell the coach, look, yesterday's practice was too much, or I feel great, yesterday was too easy. So, it all comes down to people, it all comes down to interaction, it all comes down to working together and just taking all this data. It's worse than social media. All the data about split times and distances and weights and number of throws and number of ground contacts and plyometrics. It's a matter of just getting all that data and what you ate and how much you slept and how well you slept, and they're just trying to figure out what's working. Now, we're a lot better today than say 30 years ago, because we have all the gadgets. We have phones, we have accelerometers, gyroscopes, we have iPhone apps and Android apps. We can see how we're sleeping, how long we're sleeping. All that didn't exist 30 years ago, but guys still broke 10 seconds 30 years ago. Guys still broke sub 44 30 years ago. So all this is possible without all the fancy equipment. So it really isn't the technology to a certain point, but it's really just solid basic fundamentals, really, and good people and good support. And that's it, Ryan. Sorry for the long email or long video, but this is the 8 questions you asked for, and good luck on your paper, and I'll close at this. Thanks a lot for watching and listening.